For this one, we're going to work with a set of instructions that I would have either given you, most likely, or posted on Schoology that kind of run through the general steps for doing one perspective. And they're general steps, and really you don't have to, you're going to get to the point where you don't have to think about them individually so much because you'll just kind of naturally know the process, but that's going to come with practice. So the important thing is to practice. So let's run through. We're going to do this shape. Looks a little different than possibly the handout you got because I've mixed up the colors so that it's a little easier to see where the blocks are. We have step one is to choose a front for the shape and to pick a vanishing point. Now, choosing the front, if I've given you a picture of this object, I've probably already indicated, kind of by the way I arranged the picture, what I think the front should be. So, for example, when you see this picture, it'll look something like this, and I think this is the best way to orient it because I can see all the major features of this thing. So, in other words, if I do this, you really can't see that there's a little square back here, right? So if I orient it like this and decide to draw it, I don't get a chance to see all the different parts of this. So orienting it like this, to me, seems to make the most sense. Also, when you choose the front, you'd like it to be the widest part of the thing if you could, because that means you don't have to go back as far, because that's the complicated part when we draw, is that how do we handle that depth. This, we want to be as big as we can get, the front. So we're going to choose this as my front. That means this will be the height of 2. And this will be the total width right here. And how deep it is, how far back it goes, will be this right here. That 3. And we also choose a vanishing point. So I'm going to orient it this way. And the vanishing point, in this case, if this is going to be the way it's oriented, my vanishing point is going to be off to the left. The way this whole thing goes back, it's going to be off to the left in this upper left-hand corner. So we're really going to look at it like this, I suppose. Sorry, like this. Hard to see from your perspective, though. So we're going to put somewhere in this upper left-hand corner of my paper, I'm going to put a dot. And that's my vanishing point. And in 1-point perspective, we just have 1. Later on, when we do 2-point perspective, we'll have 2 vanishing points. Okay. So, second step, we've got to determine the overall dimensions of this object. So we're going to just not worry about all the details. We're just going to worry about the overall dimensions. In other words, what's its highest part? The highest part on this is just 2 blocks tall. What's its widest part? Well, its widest part is from here all the way to here. So the widest part here is going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. And the depth, how far back it goes, is 3 blocks. So at its farthest point. So I'm not worried about like this part right here, which is only 2, or this part, which is 1. I want the biggest dimension in each one of the directions. So this is 5, 2 tall, and 3 back. So a 5 by 2 by 3. And what I want you to do is just to remind yourself of that. In the upper part of your paper, somewhere where it's not going to be in the way, is just quickly sketch a box that is, let's see, we said 5, roughly, by 2, by 3. We can do it the other way. 3, there we go. And it doesn't even have to look perfect. Just a quick sketch of a box, because you're getting good at sketching, of course. that reminds you that this is with numbers 5, 2 tall, and 3 back. Hopefully that shows up okay. Right, and that little picture of a box is going to help me remember what I'm doing down in here. So, that second step was to determine the overall dimensions of the object and sketch a box as a reference. So the little box up here is going to help me as a reference. Then draw the front of our box. Now remember, we're drawing the front of this box. I'm not really worried about the details of this shape. I'm going to focus on drawing this box first. So the front of my box is 5 by 2. Right? It would represent 5 over and 2 up. So it would just be a rectangle that would go from here, over, up, and across in this empty space to here, and then back down to here. Now on my paper, I'm going to make each of those boxes, we'll make it 2 squares. So we'll get this in a better position. Here we go. So I'm going to go 5 by 2. So I'll start over here. That'll work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will represent my 5. And then 2 boxes up is going to be 1, 2. That might be a little better. And so I'm just going to slightly sketch that front part of the box. That's 5 by 2. At times, for you to be able to see it on the video, I may have to sketch it a little darker than I would if I was just drawing it on my own. Then, using my handy dandy ruler, I'm going to trace this corner, and this corner back to my vanishing point. So whatever that point is I picked, in this case in the upper left, sometimes you'll do upper left, sometimes you'll do upper right. I'm just going to draw a light line back to that point. And I'm going to do the same for each one of those corners, going back to the same point. And this one. So I've drawn, let's go through the steps. I drew the front of my box. I just extended construction lines from 3 of the corners back to the vanishing point, VP. I'm not going to do this one right now, although I could. Let's wait and see. We could always draw this one back first, and even though we wouldn't necessarily see it, it might help later on to do that. So for now, I won't, but we might do it later. Next. Estimate the back dimension. So this is where literally it means estimate. Your lines on the grid paper here aren't going to help you too much. I know it goes back 3, but I don't think I want to mark 3 blocks, because I don't think that would, 3 blocks would actually be 1, 2, 3. I don't think marking that is going to look realistic. So I'm just going to kind of estimate. If I look at this dimension, and this is 2 and this is 5, and I look at that, I'm thinking 3 back might be back in here somewhere. So maybe in this case I could get away with making everything half. Like, do it that way maybe. So if I do that, that doesn't look unrealistic. So if I go here, I've estimated the back. And I'm going to split that in this case. So the next step, by the way, is after estimating the back dimension, which, by the way, if you look at it, so I've decided I want to go, this is how far back we're going to go. I'm going to draw a line now that goes horizontal, because this is going to be the back of the top, as it were, of this box. So I have this, here, and so forth. Now I want to after I've estimated the back dimension, I want to split that back dimension into the correct number of steps. So there are, remember, 3 blocks going back. So I need to break this into this part right here into 3 sections. There's a few different ways you can look at this. Sometimes it's, even though it might not look perfectly realistic, it might just be easier to mark it in 3 equal sections. What really happens, another way to look at it, and an even more realistic way, but I think our lines on the graph paper aren't going to help us here, is to keep in mind that as we go back farther, this apparent size of one of these blocks is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So like your first block might be this far back, but the second one might be a little less, and the last one might be even smaller. See, this is the first block's kind of far back, look goes farther, this one looks like it goes less far, and so forth and so on. That's probably a more realistic way to do it. If you're comfortable doing that, do that. If you're not, in this case, and it looks like it just kind of fits better if we just do this and split it equally, I don't think it would be the end of the world. So I break that up, but when I do that, I need to do the same for the top. So I'm going to draw each of these lines horizontally, as carefully as I can. So wherever this one met here, I'm going to go horizontal from there. Try it, and I can tell I'm horizontal. See, notice this distance here is the same as like this distance here. So I can kind of line that up. Like I know that ain't horizontal. That's not horizontal. I need it to go through that point, but the whole time be parallel to, like, say, this line. So this will work. Alright. Now, notice I'm now going to grid out the front here. So the front was, and this I can do quickly by hand, was 5 wide, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, right? And 2 high, so that's going to be just split down the middle for that one. So what I'm working in right now is after I split the back into the correct number of steps, 3, I'm going to grid the sides. So in other words, every one of these sides, I'm going to put a grid on it. It looks something like this. So for example, I got the front done, that's easy. That's 5 by 2. This side and the top are a little trickier because this wasn't bad. I got that line, this one, and this one. But how am I going to get the lines that go this way, or the line that cuts through here? Well, your vanishing point is the key. For example, this. We want to split this in half. You're going to take this point and line it up with the vanishing point. Anytime you're not sure about something, chances are you should be taking it to the vanishing point. So if I draw this line, I'll draw the whole line back here. But really all I want for my grid is from here to here. Now notice, this is 3 by 2. 3 over here by 2 up. So 1, 2, 3, and 2 up. And then I'm going to do the same thing for each of these. So this one to the vanishing point. This to the vanishing point. This, and this. So what I've done is what I call gridding in the sides. Now I have a set of apparently looking squares here, a bunch up top here, and the ones on the front. And if I'm a little bit confused, I'm going to slightly darken in the edges of my big box just in case I get confused, but I think we'll be alright. I'll darken this one in a little bit so that we're clear as to where the back edge of this thing is. All right. Now, the importance of this is now you can use this to help us figure out where everything is and where the parts that aren't, like where these missing pieces. So now that we've gridded in the sides, Next thing is, and this is one of the more important steps, is for the front, side, and top, we are going to ask ourselves the following question. What touches, for example, the front? So when I look at this, and I look at my front, right here. This is my front here. Which of these squares would be touched by one of these? Or which ones wouldn't, however you want to look at it. For example, these three squares, there's these three spots here, this one, and this one, are empty space. Nothing's touching them. But all the rest, so this one, this one, this one, this one, so there's four, and these three along here, this one, and this one, all are touching the front. So I'm going to outline that nice and dark, really dark, to help myself out. Now, if I'm you, I'll be honest, I'm probably going to not freehand this. Particularly some of you, let's face it, you're learning and your lines are a little bit sloppy. So you can use a ruler, just do it in a few places, or let your pencil point get duller, but you can darken those in without freehanding as well. So make them nice and dark and thick so I can see where they are. Is that coming up right? Maybe make it even darker, maybe. There we go. Probably getting some glare from the lead. Okay, so now I have my front taken care of. So I've just decided what's touching the front. Check. Now, what about the side? That would be, let's see, in our orientation, this is the front, this is the top, so the side is all the way over here. And there's just one square that reaches all the way out to that side. That's this guy right here. Now, where would he be? Well, we can look at it. He'd be right in the bottom right-hand corner. Right? The empty space here, empty space here, and here. But this guy here, in the bottom right-hand corner of this side, is touching. And so that guy is this. All these others would be empty space at that side. And then we look at the top. So for the top, which of these squares would be touched by the actual object? And it would be these back six all the way to the right. So it would be this one, this one, this one, and this one, this one, and this one. And so I outline that entire part of it. So now you can see we're starting to get a feel for the shape of this. Now we just have these innards to do, the parts that are missing, and we have to take care of these lines, like back in here, all right, and this guy back here, and this one right here. We just got to take care of a few of those. So let's do that. I think where we go from here is your call. I think I'm going to go, to me, the most prominent line that I see now that I want to trace back is this one. I want to go from here along that edge all the way back. I want this line right here. See if I can make that even more visible for you. So I want, put it down here where it's going to be in focus. I want this line right here. Right there. So it starts at this spot, which is this spot on my drawing. And I'm going to go back, which means I have to use the vanishing point. So from that point, I'm going to line up with the vanishing point, draw myself a line. All right. I'm going to make that a little better. sure I'm crazy about that. Alright. So that is this line. Now, let's see. Let's try this. Let's try this right here. So this corner, let me make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. So this corner right here is this, right here. And I want to go straight down from there. So I'm just going to take a line and go straight down. But really, you know what? I might want this one even more. I may want this line right here, because this line right here is going to go until it hits where this block is. It's going to go. I want this from right here to here. So let's do that. That's going to be. Look at my drawing carefully. I know there's a lot of lines, but I'm talking about this one now. I'm going to go. This one's going to go straight down until it hits right here, the line I drew back. Now I have the red and the orange. I have those two squares are right here. Then there's this other orange back here, but that line keeps on going down on that side because there's no square back here. So I have this. Now I can, at this point, I can kind of get rid of some stuff that might be confusing the issue for me. This. There we go. And then this goes down there. Now, what about this guy? Well, I'm going to draw him horizontal. He's going to the left, out this way. So I'm going to go from here over. Now, how far over do I go? I got to go over one block, so I need a little help. This is where it gets tricky. I want to take this point right here back, because I need to go over until I get to that line. And this line here represents, so I can do it without this line right here. So right here is right here. Now I gotta get this. So let's see, that's this right here, isn't it? This point right here is this corner. So I can just take that carefully, horizontally. There we go. And now, I think we're just about there. I'm going to erase this a little bit because I don't think we need that line there to be that strong. I'm going to erase this one too because we don't really need that to be all that strong either. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Here, to help myself out, I'm going to now erase some of these construction lines that are in the thing itself. Maybe clean this up a little bit. And that's not too bad. I think we have a pretty good representation of it. Now the shading part, I'll choose, let's see, everything in the side, pardon me, the left side here, I'm going to make dark. So I'm shading this right here. So you can't really see that, sorry. This side right here. which includes down in here if I could get to it, but it's not really visible there, so we're alright. Shade that pretty dark. That includes this side too, which is facing that way. And then anything facing on that's on the front, I'll just do medium. And then anything on the top is we're gonna leave it white, so I'm gonna erase that even more. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. So I can get a good light on it. Not bad, not bad. Okay.